Hello everyone, I am Vaibhav Arora. Today we will discuss The Rise of English by Terry Eagleton. So, initially when we look after the definition of literature, we always states that literature is meaning all about stories, poems, plays or novel, but what we call literature is not always the same everywhere or forever. So Eagleton states that literature is an ideology, constructed category, meaning it is defined by the social value judgments that change over time and reflect the dominant belief of a society, power, or structure. For example, the long ago Bible and Greek classics were called literature. But today, when we see novels, poems, and even some poems can be considered literature. So, this change happens because society's leaders and people in power decide what is important. So, literature is not natural, it is chosen and valued by society's rules and beliefs. Eagleton states that literature is an ideologically constructed category. So it has a core idea, that is ideology. So ideas and beliefs make the idea of ideology. So it is a set of ideas or beliefs about how the world should work. So an ideology tells what is right, normal or good. For example, if a society believes that hard work always brings success, that is an ideology. So ideology is like a pair of glasses. It makes people see the world in a certain way, decided by the powerful people in society. So in Terry Eagleton essay, we'll be covering few topics. That is the meaning of literature in the 18th century. It means to states that the meaning of literature in the 18th century, how it was understood in terms of culture, refinement and morality. Further, we'll be covering literature as a tool of social control. Means when we specifically mentioning the idea of literature as a tool of social control means how it shaped values, disciplines and the idea of good citizens. Further, we'll see a great shift in the idea of romantic literature. Means the role of romantic literature, how imagination and creativity resisted capitalism and rigid rationalism. Literature and ideology are not separate. So literature and ideology showing that literature is never been the neutral idea. It always reflects society dominant beliefs. Further, why English literature important in the 19th century. This is the very important concept. We see a great shift in the idea of literature and we will be covering why it became central in education and nation building. Later, it led to the idea of nation as a pride, English as a core center. Further, we will be covering literature takes religion's place. Means literature at this point replacing the idea of religion, taking on the role of moral and emotional guidance. Further, we will be covering how literature control the masses. Means by working through feelings, values and imagination. Later, shift in the idea of morality. Means when the shift in morality from very religious codes to sympathy and self-discipline. And then literature as experience. Means not just by knowledge but something that we can lived and felt. And the last topic will be covering literature and essential Englishness. Literature and Englishness, how it became tied to national identity and pride. First, we will understand the idea of meaning of literature in the 18th century. So, when we specifically mentioning the idea of 18th century England, means people in England did not use the word literature the way we do today. The idea of literature, what we see today, is complete different in England 18th century. Today when we talk about the way we say literature, we think of novels, poems and plays. But in 18th century, literature meant any kind of serious respected writing. This can include philosophy, history, essay, sermons, translation, letters. Even moral guidebooks and speeches could be called literature. So a piece of writing was considered literary if it reflected the values of polite and educated society. So popular writings like street ballads, romances or folk songs will look down on and not treated as literature. So literature was not just about imagination, it was tied to class, manners and social respectability. This is a very important point. It not the way we see literature today in the 21st century. It was the idea of literature in the 18th century. It's complete different. Now literature as a tool of social control. So now England has recently gone through a civil war in the mid 1600s. Now the society was divided and it was very unstable. So to restore order, people turn to certain values like reason, we have to think logically, nature like living according to order, and property means good manners and morals. So literature became a way to teach and spread these values, and it helped bring people together, the aristocrat, which means the upper class, and the middle class, by giving them a shared culture. So for example, they also have this thing called coffee house debates, where men discussed about politics and ideas. Periodicals like The Spectators, which taught morals and taste, and translation of classical works seen as a model of order and balance. So in this way, we can see that literature was almost like a guidebook for behavior and unity, keeping society disciplined after years of conflict. So we see a strong sense of control that literature empowers during that time. Now we see a great shift in the idea of romantic literature. From this point, we see a great shift in the idea of romantic literature. By the 1700s, things started changing. So the word literature became more imagination and creativity. So it allied with it connects with two more ideas, that is, it needs to be imaginative and it needs to be creative. So poetry especially was seen not just as a rhyme or verse, but as a symbol of imagination and inner vision. So the romantics valued imagination higher than cold hard facts. So now why this changed? Why this happened? This is very important. So American Revolution happened, then French Revolution. All these revolution showed people questioning about authority and trade. So basically the society was rapidly changing with machines, factories, and a sort of materialism was there. So this led to environmental determinism, to the shift of humanization of nature. So literature began to stress creativity, vision, and deeper human experience rather than just manner and order. So we see a great shift, and here we see how the role of romantic literature played a very crucial aspect. So romantic writer did not just escape us into fantasy, but they used literature as a weapon against capitalism and utilitarianism, means the idea that only talks about profit and usefulness matter. So literature became a space of freedom, where creativity is there, unity is there, imagination is there, where all these things were celebrated. And poetry for the romantics, it represent non-alienated works and organic unity, means when we talk about the idea of non-alienated works, it means unlike like factory labor or writing poetry was free, it was creative and meaningful. But organic unity means something as in whole and natural, unlike the fragmented idea. And now the criticism of this hard fact ideology, romantic resisted the idea that only logic, number, and facts matter. They resisted that. It doesn't matter that only you cannot be confined to the idea of logic, number, and facts matter. So writers like famous romantic writers like William Blake and Percy Bysshe Shelley believe that imagination has a political power because it can change how people saw the world and inspire that. So many romantics were not just artists at this point, but they became the political activists. This is a very important point. We see how in the romantic literature they use their pen as a main weapon, and by that point how they turns out to be a political activist linking literature to a social change. So we understand the idea how what romantic literature played a crucial aspect, and from this point onwards we understand that literature and ideology are not separate things. So the writer says that I don't think of literature and ideology are two separate ideas. So earlier also I discussed what is an ideology. It's a mix up of two words, ideas and beliefs. So that guides people how people think and behave in a society. For example, it talks about ideas about right and wrong, manner, class, family, gender roles. All these are part of an ideology. So from here onwards we understand literature is not a neutral concept, but rather many people think of literature something separate from politics or power. But this notion is complete false. It revolves around the idea of politics, the one who are in power at the core center. So the writer says that literature and ideology can never be separate. Literature carries society's value inside that. There's a very famous Hudson definition where Hudson states that literature is a vital records of life, what people have seen, experienced, and all those aspects of it. So it teaches people what is considered good or beautiful, or can we say civilized. So now we'll be understanding how literature is connected to the idea of ideology. So let's see, in 18th and 19th century only certain types of writings were called literature. The idea of literature was very confined and compact. So they, by choosing certain words that can be counted as literature, society was choosing which ideas were important and what sort of ideas we can ignore. For example, Shakespeare was always been taught as high culture, but at the same time when we look at street song or folk tales, they were all dismissed. So the choice turns out to be ideological. It shows power deciding what is valuable. So literature as social power. Literature helped to teach morality, manners, obedience, and national pride. And schools and universities and critics use literature to shape how people should think. So it talks about power structure at the core center. So from this aspect we understand that literature and ideology are not separate idea. From this point, literature takes the religion place. Literature takes the idea of religion place. So we'll be dealing with the idea of like literature takes religion place. So like for hundreds of years literature was the main idea. We talked about moral values and unity, but in the 19th century when we like in Victorian England, many people began to question religion because now the new ideas were discovered. There were certain social changes were there. Science became like Darwin theory of evolution came, and which weakened the authority of church. So because of this, religion was no longer as a strong glue holding the society together. So literature as a new glue concept we understand, and at this aspect we understand why English literature is been important in the 19th century. So what English literature was supposed to do? Now there were Victorian thinkers that gave literature three main duties. The first is to civilize the middle class, teach them refinement, politeness and culture, and make them more gentlemanly or ladylike. Like there are certain attributes that are being given to a person or a specific gender. So here a person needs to behave in a certain way. The second main core idea was control and guide the working class, teach them obedience, respect for authority, and good morals. So instead of sermons in church, literature in school and books will shape their behavior. So from this aspect, we understand how literature turns out to be crucial, and at the same time it creates the national pride, make people proud of English language, heritage, and writers like Shakespeare and Milton were being respected. So unite the nation to a shared culture of literature. So there's a very famous George Gordon statement. He's one of the professor at Oxford, and he made a very famous statement. England is sick, religion has failed, but literature will save soul and heal the nation. So by this idea, he meant that England was facing social problems, poverty, inequality, and then industrial revolution, and all these things happened. But religion was no longer stronger to solve all these issues. Religion can be seen at certain aspect, but not all the aspect. So at this point, literature should take over. So English literature take over the position of religion as the main idea. It should guide people morals, inspire hope, and keep society united. So there was a time when religions once shaped values and held society together, but when we see in Victorian times, religion lost most of its power. Thinkers like Matthew Arnold, and George Gordon let literature takes over religion's job, and literature was expected to civilize, discipline, and unite people, which also building national pride. Understand the idea of shift from idea of religion, how it shifted to literature as the main core center. But now we'll be understanding how literature control the masses. So it maybe the idea can be looked very neutral, but it wasn't neutral. The idea wasn't neutral, means literature seems to be like a nice liberal human subject, but that made people trust it more. So it focuses on universal values. It talks about eternal truths instead of real social problems like poverty, class struggles, and exploitation. And by turning attention to timeless beauty or universal values, literature distracted people from poverty, justice, or inequality, and it taught the middle class values. It encourages tolerance, sympathy, and admiration for the middle class way of life. Now it discourages collective action, means the action that turns out to be collectively as a whole, but rather reading was usually turns out to be a private individual activity. This kept people apart instead of uniting them for social or political change, and give the poor a powerful pride in heritage. So even if the poor couldn't write great works, they could say, we are English and our nation has produced Shakespeare and Milton. So how the minds has been shaped of the masses, and the literature turns out to be the core center. Now we understand this also leads to the idea in the shift of morality. There was a point when religion turns out to be a core center, but at this point we understand how there is a shift in morality. So when we say old meaning of morality, like clear religious codes, right, wrong defined by religion, but the new meaning in the 19th century is completely different. So morality shifted to mean sensitivity to life, culture, and human experience. So instead of being confined to strict rules and patterns that earlier pattern we used to follow, but at this point it was more sort of feeling, it was more sort of empathy and refinement. So here literature played a very crucial aspect. So literature showed moral values through stories and characters instead of preaching rules. So like the broader aspect, the rigid system that we'll be learning all the moral values through preaching, but rather literature open a great space where stories and characters stories and collector showcases the ideas of moral values, and it shaped people emotions and feeling, guiding them towards a refined morality. And this leads turns out to be literature as an experience. So like religion, literature touched people through feelings and experience, not in terms of logic or argument. So vicarious experience was there. Vicarious experience, like reading let people experience life without actually living it. If you were poor and you cannot travel or explore, you could still feel those adventures through books. So for example, like reading Rudyard Kipling or Joseph Conrad gave readers a taste of empire, exotic lands and adventure. At the same point, it escaped people from the world of reality. For the poor, literature was more sort of like a fantasy. It gives a sense of joy and distraction from the harsh living condition, but it did not change their real problems. So real problems still being turns at the main center. This is true. There was a rise of middle class, industrial revolution happened, but it escaped from reality. Reading turns out to be a very prominent activity when literature controls the masses. They start reading about stories, they start reading that teaches moral values. They also understand the experiences of life. Even they haven't traveled the country or any other places, but they learn through books, and this keep them literature idea as a core center and escape them from the world of reality and leads them to the world of fantasy. So we understand the idea of literature as experience, and now we'll be dealing with literature and essential Englishness. So this is the last topic, and because it has historical background. Like for instance, by the late 19th century, Britain was at high peak of its empire because of high imperialism was there, but it also faced rivalry with Germany and America, who were growing powerful day by day. So Britain needs a strong sense of national identity and mission to keep its people united and confident. So English literature played a very crucial aspect over here. Literature was used to build patriotism and pride in the nation, and writers like Shakespeare and Milton were celebrated as a great English tradition. And if we look at literature, it became a way of saying that we are English, we have a special culture and we must protect it. Now this made English literature feel masculine and patriotic, tied to strength, duty and empire. So at this moment also in the British empires, officials who were sent to abroad, like to colonies like India, they have to pass an exam, and this exam include English literature, which gave official sense a idea of cultural superiority. This carried this feeling with them into the colonies, believing British culture was richer and more refined than others. And then now language and essential Englishness. At this point, there are certain criticism of modern language. So some Victorians thought the idea of new modern commercial language, like for instance ads, newspaper and business talks, was too weak and it's abstract and it turns out to be very lifeless. But they felt didn't any touch real human experience the way they experience English as an English in the idea of literature as an experience. So what true literature offered? Literature was believed to be rich. It turns out to be full of depth. It needs to be concrete, real. Sensuous means appealing to the senses, and it needs to be very particular, means very specific and alive. So reading literature aloud was compared to like chewing an apple. So like the way we chew apple, it turns out to be real, tasty and satisfying. At the same point, it has what are the deeper beliefs about literature? They thought literature could help regain contact with true human experience, which modern life and commerce were making shallow. And literature itself was imagined as an organic society, something that is complete in itself, whole, living and neutral, unlike the fragmented, mechanical modern world. With this, we are done with the rise of English. Thank you so much.